The Mongol Empire was ruled by Monke Khan from 1251 until 1259. As the third great Khan, or universal ruler of the Mongols, Möngke would supervise the implementation of additional centralizing administrative changes and make sure he had the means at his disposal to effectively extend the empire into Syria in the west and China in the east. Before the Mongol realm finally broke up into numerous khanates controlled by rival descendants of Genghis Khan, the man who had built it all. His reign was the last of the Mongol Khans to supervise a cohesive realm. 꽍ᴜ Khan, who had established the framework for a manageable empire that now encompassed all of Asia, passed away in December 1241. In 1246, 꽍ᴜ's wife Purging briefly held the position of regent until her son 꽍ᴜʀ took over. 꽍ᴜʀ ruled as the Mongol Empire's third Khan for only 2 years. 꽍ᴜʀ's nomination was delayed following 꽍ᴜ's passing, since he had never been a popular candidate, and many nobles, whose allegiances were split among Genghis Khan's descendants, disagreed with the choice. 꽍ᴜʀ was probably poisoned by a competitor in 1248, and it's possible that his passing unintentionally prevented an attack on the western portion of the empire, which would have undermined his claim to the throne. The throne of the empire was vacant once more, and Genghis Khan's successors quarreled over who would succeed him as the universal ruler, or Great Khan. Möngke, the youngest son of Genghis Khan, Tolui, 1190–1232, was a leading contender. He was born in 1209. Along with other Mongol commanders, Möngke had successfully campaigned in southern Russia and Eastern Europe between 1237 and 1241. In particular, he had commanded the Mongol army's wing that invaded the Kipchaks north of the Caspian Sea with victory. The Kipchak leader Bakhman was sliced in two after being captured because he would not bow down to Möngke. Batu Khan, who stood in for the house of Joki, backed Möngke's bid for Great Khan. Joki, the eldest son of Genghis Khan, led this clan group until he died in 1227, just before Genghis. Jochi's birth during his mother's captivity was another obstacle for this side of the family, since other family lines consistently contested his claim to be a legitimate descendant of Genghis Khan. Jochi's family was granted property in the far western region of the Mongol Empire, possibly due to this very reason. Despite this, they continued to be the house of 꽍ᴜ's fiercest adversaries, which was the major motivation behind 꽍ᴜʀ's campaign planning in Batu. Batu Khan favored someone other than an 꽍ᴜ to lead the empire, and he had declined to be considered for the title of Great Khan. Consequently, Batu backed Möngke of the Tolui line. In addition, Batu was appreciative to 𝙎ᴜ Beki, Möngke's mother, for alerting him about 꽍ᴜʀ's plan to launch an offensive against him. Around the Russian steppe, which he subsequently gave the romantic moniker Golden Horde, Batu had founded his realm. He governed this region from 1227 until 1255. In exchange for endorsing Möngke's candidacy, Batu received total liberty inside his domain within the empire. Following his official ascension to power at the 1251 Mongol tribal leaders' Kurultai meeting, Möngke began a brutal purge of the house of 꽍ᴜ, whose remnants, led by 꽍ᴜ's two young grandson Kaidu II, 1236–1301, fled to establish a permanent residence in Siberia. Among the most notorious victims of the purge was 꽍ᴜ, the wife of the former Khan 꽍ᴜʀ, who had held the position of regent, 1248–1251, after her husband's death. She was convicted of treason in December 1252 and was subsequently thrown into a river while covered in felt, a punishment often meted out to witches. Another group of Genghis's descendants, the House of Chagatai, was similarly persecuted. Throughout the empire, creative means of execution, such as trampling, chopping off hands and feet, or stuffing stones into the victim's mouth, were used to slaughter nobles and high-ranking officials. When the panic eventually passed, the House of Tolui was the most powerful clan in the Mongol realm. Even though his reign began violently, Möngke is widely recognized for bringing about several significant administrative changes in the Mongol Empire, even if many of them may have originated under 꽍ᴜ's rule. Regardless of the person in charge, the basic attitude to running an empire kept changing from simple conquering and taking spoils or imposing erratic taxes when necessary. Thus, it was guaranteed that an affluent but stationary populace could furnish the state with a more stable and long-term source of revenue through an equitable taxing structure. A census was stated, the government was consolidated, and additional provinces, such as those taken from the Rus, were added to the administrative structure. Beginning in 1253, payments in silk, silver coins, and silver were accepted in addition to the conventional form of payment to better manage the tax system. Monke raised large armies for campaigns on both borders of his kingdom, demonstrating that all of these measures succeeded in their goal of enriching the state. Monke appointed his younger brothers Kublai as viceroy of the Mongol-controlled northern China and Hulagu as viceroy İlkhan of Iran. Each was assigned an army made up of 2 men for every 10 in the empire. Hulagu began to organize and fight in the west in 1253, effectively extending his dominion into Iran and Iraq and driving out the unruly Ismailis, also known as the Assassins, in 1256. After a string of successes, in January 1258, Hulagu finally overthrew the Abbasid Caliphate of Iraq. After a short siege, Baghdad was taken over by the Mongols the next month. The Abbasid Caliphate collapsed as a result of the week-long bloodshed that ensued, which is said to have killed up to 800,000 people, and the caliph's death. Nevertheless, the empire's expansion was focused in Cairo, where it formed the Mamluk Sultanate, 1261 to 1517. Marco Polo and others made headlines when they revealed the caliph's murder. He ended up bricked up in a tower, his entire fortune serving as a reminder that he ought to have invested more in defense. The Mongols advanced swiftly and eventually arrived in Syria, where they besieged Aleppo in December 1259. A week later, the main city fell, and the customary massacre of its populace ensued. The campaign was then put on hold when word of Monke's passing reached them in the middle of 1260. Despite this most unusual of setbacks, the territory that Hulagu hard carved out, with its heartland in Iran, would become yet another slice of Asia under Mongol rule, the state known as the İlkhanate. A small Mongol army left in Syria was defeated by the Mamluks at the Battle of Ain-Jalut on September 3, 1260. Kublai, on the other hand, had even greater aspirations, but for the time being he bided his time, using the chance to assemble a group of capable advisors and a network of local support in northern China, among them Liu Bingzhong. Beginning in 1253, Monke personally accompanied Kublai in his campaigns against Song dynasty-held southern China. In 1257, Mongol armies invaded Sichuan and eastern China and advanced through Tibet and into Yunnan, where they overthrew the Dali kingdom. A 4-pronged invasion strategy was devised to invade from both the south and the west, allowing the Mongols to target Song China's vulnerability from the newly acquired land. But just as the campaign was getting started, Monke passed away on August 11, 1259, when he was besieging the Chinese city of Chongqing. The Song campaign came to an end with Monke's untimely death, but it also sparked a new rivalry among the Mongol leaders over potential successors. The Golden Horde, the Ilkhanate, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and the northern Chinese and Mongolian regions that make up the rump of the Mongol Empire were now basically divided into 4 distinct entities. The civil war eventually broke out between Kublai and his younger brother 𝙎𝙁, whom Monke had appointed as his regent while on the campaign against the Song, despite Hulagu's refusal to put himself up as a contender for the future Khan. Each contender proclaimed themselves to be the next Khan. With Hulagu's backing and superior resources, Kublai emerged victorious in the 4-year conflict and was acknowledged as the new Great Khan in 1260. After ultimately subduing the Song, Kublai would go on to create the Yuan dynasty as the new name of the Chinese Empire and grow the Mongol Empire to its maximum size